Hey, welcome back. It's Dave here from Kingsman PSC. Today, I want to talk about the crime rates in Lansing and kind of paint a picture so that you can base your own opinion on whether you think they're going up or down. Now, we're just going to look at a very small demographic, the demographics of the Lansing and the surrounding area. Not a huge thing. Um, but as we read reports, especially in an election year, this is really important for a lot of people. This is a big determining factor on the election cycle because it's something that Americans are concerned with, right? And so we have to know if crime is going up and if crime is going down. I'm not going to tell you it is or isn't across the board. I just want to show you kind of just the last several months and progression in crime, and then tell you or show you more or less how these crimes are reported and how they're inaccurate. Okay, and again, I don't think that there's anyone that studies crime that's going to deliver a 100% accuracy in their report findings, and there's just too many variables there. But it's important for people like me, and maybe you're one of these people, you really like to follow crime. It's important for us to know what types of crimes are happening. All right, maybe you can start collecting information so we can see what the cause and is, so that we can develop crime prevention programs, right? Whether it's for communities, businesses, neighborhoods, or just individuals themselves. Every person's going to have a different set of unique goals and tools that they use to come out with this information so that we can relay it better to the general public. Okay. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to just look at just the past several months. Okay, we're going to start in March, work our way up to the current day here in August, and just show you how we can see how the crimes are progressing in the Lansing area. And then I want to give you the data and how we got these. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about that. But I don't want to get into a whole lot of detail. I just want to give you something to consider. And then later on down the road, like I said, after we study these crimes, we want to give you some tools to use so that you can better protect yourself on an individual level. All right, so as I start showing you these graphs, this is all real-time data when those events took place. And I just kind of want to talk about these graphs real quick, just to highlight a couple things. Now, this first one we're looking at is just for the month of March. That's it. So there was 90 records that were reported for the whole month of March. And then the other thing I want you to pay attention to is right up here, uh, this bar here, okay, that tells the type of crime and how it's categorized. There's a reason for that. And then, of course, we got red, which is assaults, black, burglary. The lighter blue ones would be, drug and alcohol related offenses, fraud, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, this is pretty mild for March, uh, but I just wanted you to take a look at it, and we'll go through each month all the way up till the current date, and so you're able to see. All right. Now, as we go through, I want you to also understand is each one of these incidents, like let's say assaults, that is a one code for that crime. There could be multiple things within that assault, like stalking and intimidation. It could be aggravated assault, felonious assault. There's just different classifications of what that assault actually is, and it's the same way all the way across the board. Um, Vehicle break-ins is pretty straightforward. Vandalism, there could be a few different things. All the way across the board, these might be different. Okay, theft of motor vehicle might be, the car got stolen out of the driveway. It could be a carjacking. So understand that as we get through these, just because it says assault, know that there is different types of assaults or different types of crime per category here. Okay. So I'm going to move on and show you this other part real quick, and it'll be the only time I show you. I just want you to understand how we start breaking this data down. All right, and so for this, I just want you to take a look at this so you can get just a general understanding of what we do when we're talking about breaking down crimes in the area. All right, so these are the crime incidents. Again, it shows you up at the top. The date we're looking at is the month of March, 90 records. These are when the dates were uh, filed here. Then you got the police agency, the location they were in, and then the incident reporting number. Also tells you about the type of crime. Now, these are all real time events. They did happen. We have a way to track those events, and now we have a way to look and see what those crimes actually were. All right, we can pull a lot of information from this. And I just wanted to show you this. I'm not going to pull this up every time we talk about a different month. I just want to give you a general idea so that you understand kind of the basic scope, and now how can we start drawing information for the sake of accuracy. All right, so now we're moving on to April. All right, so again, we went from 90 records to 97 records. Not that big of an uptick, right? Okay, pay attention to the bar. All right, so in this one, the only thing we really see more of so far, they were probably larceny charges. This one here, this is the only vehicle theft break-in. Um, so it's just very few. We still now can track what these assaults are. But again, this is for the month of April, and we only have 97 records. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one, and I'll show you how it starts to progress. So we have 90, 97, and then now we're going to take a look at May. All right, so here's a look at May. This is for the entire month of May. Okay, and 406 records. So quite a big jump in crime, right? We went from 90 to 97 now to 406 records. And I want you to notice now we have another category on here. It says homicide, where we didn't see those before. All right, we still have assaults, which seems to be the more predominant issue across the board in category. Those are happening every day. But now we have a homicide, which is this one right here. All right. But 406 crimes we can definitely see as the weather changes. People are becoming more active. Now we definitely have some more vandalisms on there. We've got a lot more everything on there. All right. But that's a pretty big uptick, right? From 97 to 406 records. All right. And now we have one more classification. Still pay attention to this bar up here. Again, this is only for the month of May. And now we're going to look at June and see what June has in store for us. And it's going to shock you. This is really going to shock you. All right, so we're moving on. All right, here we go. Is June. June is the next month, the whole month, 870 records. Notice now we have a different category on crime, arson. Okay, which typically isn't a problem in the Lansing area. It's more seems like it's establishing a position in the way of crime, but not like Flint or anything like that. So it's not really a big issue. Still an issue, just not a big one. And then right here on Sunday, this one here cracks me up. Sunday, there's 39 assaults. Um, Many people need to go to church instead of be out there hitting people. It's crazy. Uh, I'd like to see what the time frame is on that. But anyway, again, homicide is still up there. We have one down here. But notice how there's an uptick in the crime, right? More vandalism, more vehicle break-ins, all right? Some more theft of a motor vehicle. Just crime across the board has skyrocketed for the month of June. And this is 2024. Again, this is real-time data, okay? This is not debatable. All right, this is actual reports that have been established. And so now July is going to blow your mind even more, and we have to break that up into two different weeks. So we'll get into that, but still pay attention to this bar. All right, and then look at the types of crimes. Just take a second to collect this information. You'll be able to see um, how this progresses, and then going into the next several months, um, you'll have something to go by. Okay, so let's move on to July. All right, now here's July. Now I want you to pay attention to this and notice something. Okay, notice that there are 463 records. All right, but notice this is also from the 1st of July to the second week of July. Now, the reason that is because this mapping app only tracks 1,000 per month that you can see. You have to split up the time frame to collect all the data because it only houses at one time. So you can really only see a certain amount of them versus the overall picture. So we have to break up um, the dates so that we can see all the records that are available to us. And so this is why this is the first 2 weeks. We'll look at the last 2 weeks here in a second. But we have 463 for this week. I think there's 580 something for the next week here. Um, Notice again there seems to be assaults a continuing problem. Definitely we're growing in some things, but also notice on this toolbar, arson is still there. We had one on a Friday, and notice again there is not a homicide up there. Okay, now if we look at the news, whatever news channel you watch, particularly you can see something that would classify as a homicide or maybe manslaughter or something like that just about every day in the news. And so now we start seeing, okay, there's no homicides. And so even though this is all data that has been recorded and accurate, it may not be reported. Okay, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and I want you to see the next 2 weeks of July. All right, so here it is, 7:15 to 7:31, 574 records. There was actually a few more. I probably should have expanded on the map a little bit. But notice, still arsons here, no homicides. Okay. Here you can kind of, over the last few maps, kind of go back and look at these uh, crimes that have happened, and you can see the escalation in some. All right. Assaults have always been pretty big across the board. It's a pretty wide range of crimes. But again, you definitely start to see more of an uptick, especially in July. Vehicle break-ins, um, you know, so just thought this was pretty interesting because now we have over 1,000 for the month of July when we started off with 90. And we'll have like a very brief discussion on how we got all this, these numbers and why they're inaccurate. Except for the ones we're looking at, these are all accurate, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. And then now we will go to August and see where we're at up into the 14th. All right, and so here is August up until the 14th. We have 437 records that have been reported thus far. All right. Then again, you can kind of, same thing, homicide's not up here. Arson's still up there. It looks like there was one. We definitely continue to have this problem here with assaults. All right, some vandalism seems to be growing, some weapons charges. Now, weapons charges doesn't always mean that it was a crime committed with the weapon. It could be someone was caught uh, with a concealed gun and they did not have a CPL. So it could be, things like that. It doesn't mean that they used the weapon in a crime. It could mean that the what they were doing with it was a criminal offense, a felony, or a 93-day misdemeanor. All right, just means that it was reported that they had a weapon. Definitely see some escalation in sex crimes. Seems to be every day of the week now. I think there was same thing in July. It was every day of the week. Um, Different pockets, okay, different areas. But we can see the kind of problems that exist. Okay, we can with these graphs we can utilize these graphs to kind of show us what crimes are taking place more so than not, different days, time frames, and now using the chart that we showed you in the very beginning, we can now start breaking those down by demographics to see where they're escalating, where they're going down, what the changes were within those demographics. Um, if the people were from that area that committed those crimes, where they were from, just a whole bunch of different stuff. And so I just briefly wanted to show you this crime map, or the charts off of this crime map, and how we record those crimes, for our own personal data, so that now we can come up with prevention plans for, students in our classes or businesses or whatever it may be, and we have something solid to go on. All right. Because you can't prevent something from happening if you don't know how it's happening. And the other reason I wanted to get into this is because I've been reading all of these different reports about, crime going down or crimes on the rise, and really we don't even know who to believe anymore. From my personal perspective, in my opinion, from what I've seen, um, it's going up. There's no evidence that is accurate, even with the information that's available to us, that nationally that crime is going down. Okay, and in the Lansing area, there's definitely no evidence that supports this either. So, in my opinion, from what I can tell, the Lansing area is still the second most dangerous city to live in, with the population under 200,000. So, incomparable to other cities, we are the second most dangerous, and it looks like we're kind of flattening out at that, or maybe about to see an increase in it. My speculation is we'll see an increase in certain crimes. But anyway, let me go on to the next one, and I want you to see how this crime is calculated. Okay, and I'll get to the map here too, so you can see kind of what it is we're looking at when we're checking all this data out, right? So we'll move on. All right, and so on this particular mapping app or website, you can see that there's Eaton County Sheriff up there in the corner. If I was doing this live, I would click on the toll down bar, or the drop down menu, and you would only see a list of four agencies. It would be East Lansing, Lansing, Meridian Township, and Eaton County. So on this particular crime map, there is only four agencies in the Lansing area and the surrounding areas recording their incidents on this actual app. Okay. And so that's a big problem that we see, is because not all of those agencies that are here, all four of those agencies, these are just the ones that they were able to record. So this is basically like a plugin that goes to central records. Not all of them get stored into a database. So what does that mean? That means that for the month of August, those 437 records could actually be well above 437. It only will record what they store in, and this is only for those four agencies. So we're missing a whole lot of other agencies out there that are recording this information. And I'll show you on the next one how also this can be affected in numbers. So when we're hearing about all these crime reports, understand that we're not receiving accurate data across the board, but what we are able to record is accurate. Okay, so let me jump over here and I will show you this. All right, now this is a kind of the data, notes about the data from Michigan's website, the state of Michigan. Okay, the MICR, which stands for Michigan Incident Crime Report. Okay, it's a program that they have. And just to highlight a few different things on there. Now, this is just for the state. So local law enforcement agencies don't necessarily report to the state agencies. There were, for 2022, there were 46 or 49, I can't remember which one, of agencies that did not report this to MICR. Okay, and so that seems to be another flaw and why we don't get accurate numbers, right? And then how the state reports is going to be a little bit different, and then we get into how the state reports to the FBI and their own classifications, okay? But each year they have a frozen date. As you can see, that frozen date is March 1st, 2023. All right. Now, if those agencies do not report by that date, their data is not collected and put into the crime maps. Now, why is that? Um, some of these agencies just simply don't have the time or the resources or many other reasons to not report. Okay, it could be there wasn't enough data for them to waste their time on. Whatever it may be, they didn't have enough officers, could be budgets. This is all voluntary. Okay, at least for most departments. Maybe some have a budget and they get paid to do so. All right. The other thing that gets affected is they do this per capita. So a lot of times when you're reading different things about crime, they're like, yeah, out of 100,000 residents per capita, these are the types of crimes. And so if that demographic changes in population, um, if that information is inaccurate or there's a significant decrease or increase in that population, that is also going to affect crime data, right? Because now we're getting estimated numbers. Um, Another thing that this affects is if it rolls over to the next year. Okay, well let me back up. I want to read this very important part here. It says agencies unable to submit completed data by March 1st, 2023 will show artificially low crime counts in this report. This may be due to agencies experience disruptions in their crime submission process or transition into new record management systems. Users are cautioned against performing trend analysis or ranking agencies, cities, especially for those agencies and cities that indicate a significant increase or decrease in yearly crime counts. Now, that is extremely important because the FBI did switch out their system. I don't think it was anytime soon. I forget. Um, but now, if we're making transitions between systems, right? Not every law enforcement agency is transitioning to the FBI's system, and some of them, as they upgrade systems, are not making that transition either. So, and that makes it very difficult. But that last part makes it very hard, whether it's increase or decrease in crime. A lot of times, I just bring this up because a lot of times when it comes to the crime that we're seeing in the media, those numbers are fudged hardcore. So basically, they're tricking people to believe a false report based on a political preference. Nobody really cares who you vote for. Okay, that's your own thing, and it shouldn't be influenced by false information. No matter who you believe is going to win or you're going to elect on a state level, city level, county level, or even for the president. Okay, and so we have to understand that there's too many variables in between for one person or another to say yes, this is what crime's doing, or this is what crime's doing. All we have is an analysis. And if we're not looking at all the information that we have readily available to us, then we're dropping the ball. We're failing. We're going to be misleading. And even with all that accurate information, there's no way we can prove 100% accuracy in reports that we can't generate. Information we simply just don't have. And so I'd like to caution you as you're listening to, you know, different news agencies and talking about crime, as you can see in the last report, that homicides went away from that report. Arsons weren't on every report. That's just simply because in the Lansing area, either they weren't reported or maybe there was indiscrepancies in that report, so they decided to delete it. All of these different factors hold place. All right, that is how we are going to wrap up. Is I just wanted to give you that general idea of the type of crime. I wanted you to see the escalation in crime from winter months to cold months, and that has its own set of variables, whether the data was being entered or not. Those numbers are only true to that mapping agency where an incident number is reported that we can actually verify. But other things that you might want to count into these things or figure into the what we're looking at is temperature and demographics do change things. If it's colder, people are not more active and less likely to go out and commit certain types of crime versus in the warmer months. And so those are certainly variables. I'm not trying to discredit those. So I hope this helps. I just wanted to kind of show you where we're at with Lansing and then give you like a brief and general understanding of how reporting works so that you know that you should look into these things for yourself and not just believe anybody on it, and including us, because sometimes we don't have proper numbers. And so, in my own personal opinion, crime is not dropping. Okay, but that's just from the data that we have from a very small demographic. Okay, I will see you guys on the next one. God bless.